Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning here. Let me make sure I'm amplifying correctly. Very excited here to stand alongside a few very important people. Our Office of Economic Development and Office of Arts and Culture and Council, their members have helped us assembling some announcements that we're just very pleased to announce. I want to acknowledge Councilmember Dan Strauss and Andrew Lewis, who helped shepherd this suite of legislation I'm going to describe in a little detail here. Thank you for your work on the council and for recognizing the importance of getting this city back, and particularly in terms of our downtown activation plan. This hopefully represents and celebrates another great milestone that reaffirms our bold new vision in recreating, reactivating our downtown Seattle. Together we are reimagining what our downtown core looks like. We are not doing this from the top down. We're doing this through conversations, through coffee talks, through visioning sessions, through listening to community members, residents, business owners, and through this process, again, working in collaboration with the City Council. That's not an expression you hear a lot these days, but I'm joking. I couldn't be more pleased with the work we're doing together on this kind of work. That I'll describe again what we're trying to accomplish with the legislation that we will sign. Bear with me a little bit. I'm just having, I think many of you know my birthday was yesterday, and I think I'm aging already because I can't see very well, and I don't bring my reader glasses when I come. Note to self, bring your reader glasses, Harrell. The slate of the newly adopted legislation that I will present will advance once again our roadmap for a world-class downtown. We'll add more housing. We'll create opportunities for small businesses and workers, which we think is just critical to our entire city's success. We'll build community with fun and exciting activities for residents and visitors of all ages. So last week I signed legislation establishing a new 15-year business improvement area, the BIA, to strengthen our ability to market and promote Seattle to people from all around the world. And we know that that is a proven tool, and we sort of double down on that strategy, and that will welcome new folks here and folks that want to come back again in terms of visiting and being tourists in our city. Today, I'm excited to sign a new suite of bills. Early legislative downtown priorities that will have both immediate and long-term positive impacts. Now, we know that cities around the country are trying to reimagine what a downtown should look like. Our approach will be effective because it considers many facets of downtown's life. Today, the legislation I'll sign into law will, and I'll just sort of number them so you could follow the legislation. Number one is supporting investments in residential development along 3rd Avenue corridor by allowing building heights in the retail core to increase from 170 feet to 440 feet, and creating incentives for builders to include space for a future downtown school. That's Council Bill 120632. Number two, increasing flexibility for siting hotels in parts of Belltown to increase foot traffic and bring more visitors downtown. That's Council Bill 120631. And number three, waiving citywide permitting fees associated with food trucks and food carts and small to medium scale street and sidewalk events and activities that are open to the public through January 1st, 2026. That's Council Bill 120642. That one is of particular interest because once again we realized, as we've seen and we've sort of piloted, that when we build things and we activate areas, people come and people enjoy, people participate, and the activation brings a great sense of not only pleasure but safety issues as well. Number four, a lease agreement with Cultural Space Agency to bring 5 arts nonprofits into the 2nd floor of the King Street Station, Council Bill 120666, and let's clap on that one because you're going to hear some people. You've heard me speak on other occasions about the beauty of art and music and expression, the unifying factor that creates for all communities. We again need to double down on our ability to express kind words, loving words to one another, and even if we want to advocate and argue. If we're doing it in an artistic way, that's what makes Seattle great. And so we're very pleased to see those investments. Number 5, expanding the city's partnership with the Downtown Seattle Association, DSA, to bring new activation activities to Bell Street Park and Pioneer Square, in addition to DSA's existing work in Occidental Square and Westlake Park. That's Council Bill 120664. And 6, affirming the City of Seattle's support for public-private partnership between the city, the Seattle Public Schools, and the One Roof Partnership to redevelop Memorial Stadium. That's Resolution 32110. Last night I was at a meeting with the superintendent of the public schools, Dr. Brent Jones, and he and the leadership team remains incredibly excited about the partnership we're developing to, again, reimagine, redevelop Memorial Stadium. Now, we know that downtown Seattle ought to be not just the economic engine for the region, but its cultural hub. I use expressions like the heartbeat of the city and what we're trying to do there. That's why we're focused on expanding the arts downtown and why we're here today at King Street Station. This legislation will support our creative economy as we bring 5 arts nonprofits again into the second floor of King Street Station. And I want to shout out to Laisha Farmer, whose art is on display around us today. Yes. Thank you, Laisha. Thank you, Laisha, who's also a participant in our Seattle Restored program that is successfully revitalizing Seattle by reversing the decay of previously vacant space through creativity and commerce. Quite candidly, it's through legislative actions like these that will be able to implement the structural and systemic changes necessary to design and sustain the downtown of tomorrow. Now, we know that policy alone can't solve the issues facing downtown. That's why we have a holistic approach to creating a safe and welcoming downtown. That's why we've worked with law enforcement and service providers and the City Council to address the epidemic of fentanyl, and with a dual public health and public safety approach, why we activated streets with pickleball and youth basketball, why we're putting up murals across the city center. It's all part of a plan to reactivate and re-energize the city. We are doing this legislative work to increase the housing and the amenities and the opportunities that make downtown a place where people just want to go. They want to work. They want to live. A place where families can afford to live. A place where tourists want to visit. A place where businesses and entrepreneurs want to set up shop and optimize who and what they want to be. So signing this legislation into law today is just another step toward our activation plan, affectionately known as DAP, the Downtown Activation Plan, and another step toward our revitalization goals, and another step, quite candidly, to cement Seattle as a world-class city. We're delivering on the plan that we laid out this summer. I want to thank my team. I want to recognize Deputy Mayor Tim Burgess and other members of my executive team, the cabinet members that have put all these components, all these pieces together. This is critical work that we're going to do together. We think about it, we create it, we research, and then we go out there and do it. I couldn't be prouder to be part of this team. So, I'm going to introduce a few members that will speak. They're all going to speak for 20 minutes apiece. No, I'm just joking. We wouldn't do that to any of you. We wouldn't do that to anyone. But I want to first recognize, again, I introduced Councilmember Lewis, but I want to recognize Councilmember Dan Strauss. Again, thanks to his leadership, Councilmember Strauss and coupled with Councilmember Nelson as well, who couldn't join us today, and Councilmember Lewis, that we're able to advance these DAP priorities into law. And I want to thank them for their partnership to help create the future of our city's core. Councilmember Dan Strauss.
Good morning. I'm Councilmember Dan Strauss, representing Fremont, Finney, Green Lake, Greenwood, Crown Hill, Ballard, and many other micro neighborhoods, and downtown is just as important to me as any part of my district. And that's because it is the meeting point between the west, with Kitsap Peninsula, Bainbridge Island, Vashon Island, Kingston, and Bremerton, to the east all the way to the Cascades, to the north to Everett, and to the south to Tacoma. This is our economic engine because of the working families who work here. And downtown is bigger than any of us. It's bigger than any one person in this room, and that's why it takes all of us to make downtown the safe and vibrant neighborhood that we know it can be. We need to have that safe and vibrant place because people are here to work and play and come together, whether or not you live in the Cascades in North Bend or you're out in Bremerton or in Kingston. This is a meeting place between all others. All of the work that I do in my district and that I do for the city, I use as a starting point, a way that we can replicate it downtown. When you look at reopening Ballard Commons Park, we used it as the dry run for reopening City Hall Park. And I'll tell you, City Hall Park reopening went better. When we look at the work on Ballard Avenue with the street cafes, we look at how we are in the last phases to make that a policy that can be replicated easily through Streets Illustrated, whether it's in Columbia City or right downtown here in downtown or in Belltown. The way that I do my work is serving the residents that I represent and serving all of Seattle because, again, the priorities and the things that we need to do for downtown are bigger than any of us. It's bigger than anyone who just lives in the city. It's anyone who works in the city, anyone who has interest in our joined success. I was proud and honored to get to sponsor some of these bills because activating downtown is very important to me. The zoning changes that are going in along 3rd Avenue keep pace with the changing retail shopping that we have today. As some of you may have noticed, we've transitioned from downtown flagship stores to a lot more online shopping. I'm sure no one in here does any online shopping. But when we look at that, Seattle was also the home of the first indoor mall up at Northgate. And thanks to Council President Juarez and many others, we've turned that into an amazing hockey ice practice rink and reinvigorating the vibrancy that is up in Northgate. And, kids these days aren't going to the mall to walk around. My friends, they tell me that their kids are walking around down in Ballard Avenue, and we want to make that a place. As we see retail changing, we also need to keep our zoning up to and with those changes. These changes will increase livability and the viability of 3rd Avenue. This will increase residential units on 3rd Avenue, as well as it will help affordable housing because one of the owners of one of these parcels has single resident occupancy units that are affordable housing that are in a need of being updated. And this organization does a very good job of negotiating for more affordable housing. This is a very important bill for our city. In Belltown, we're incentivizing improving our downtown neighborhood. I will admit, many of you already know, I used to work at Cinerama. I served chocolate popcorn, and no, I won't tell you the recipe. But when I was working there, we went from having a parking lot serving Cinerama that was vacant most of the time, and there wasn't necessarily positive activity. When I was working there, it went into a construction site, and I'll tell you, folks that were initially quite upset that they couldn't find a place to park right next to Cinerama, but when those shops and restaurants opened next to the front doors of Cinerama, that street became more safe, vibrant, and livable. We're seeing this bill in Belltown do the same thing for the vacant properties and the other barren parking lots that can be so much more and serve our city. Seattle is the flagship for our region. We must do everything possible to make it the gem that we know it to be. I've heard some pessimism from a few, and I guess that's fine, because the rest of us are here to improve downtown, to make it more vibrant, safe, and welcoming for everyone. Whether you're here to work, live, play, or learn, and whether you're just visiting for the day, visiting from the suburbs, or you live in one of our amazing neighborhoods or downtown, we need to make it safe, vibrant, and welcoming for everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Before I introduce our next speaker, I do want to recognize again a few of my important leaders, Director Spots, who's here, Markham McIntyre, OED Director, Sam Choi, Director of Strategic Initiatives. I want to recognize Lisa Dugard in the back, who makes sure that we are helping people to optimize their lives. Funny story about Lisa. There's only one bigger Husky fan in this room than me, and that's Lisa Dugard. And I think a couple of weeks ago I had to do an event during the Arizona game, and I'm texting Lisa, "Hey Lisa, who's winning? What's going on? Do we have momentum?" And so she and I are equally nervous about this Saturday, but we're feeling pretty good, right, Lisa? All right. I'd like to introduce Belltown community and business leader John Kiehnau. John is a known leader in the Belltown community who sits on the boards of Uplift Northwest, Market to Mohi, Belltown United, Belltown P-Patch. He is a lead volunteer at Seattle King County Clinic, a mentor for the Co-Motion program at the University of Washington, and vice president of Growing Vine Street. He's recently joined the South Lake Union Chamber in 2023, bringing a professional background in global corporate development, entrepreneurialism. That's a hard word, by the way. I saw that in prep. Entrepreneurialism, and a decade of volunteer community service. This city is much, much better for the work that John has been doing. We're very pleased to hear some remarks from John. Thank you, John.
Wow, I've never received an introduction like that. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's great. As the mayor mentioned, I'm here primarily as a member of the Uplift Northwest Board of Directors. Many of you know Uplift Northwest as its old name, the Millionaire Club. It's been located in Belltown for almost 100 years. And the purpose of Uplift is empowerment through employment. And I'm going to come back to that and how that relates to why we're all together today in a second. I'm also a founding member of Belltown United, and I live in Belltown and work in South Lake Union. I don't keep a car in Seattle, so everywhere I go by foot, on one of the bikes, or on public transit. So I have seen Seattle on its best days. I've also seen it on its worst days. And I'm very excited about what we're doing today, because one of the reasons I love living downtown are all the activities that I can walk to and get to easily. So very happy to have a place like Seattle Center in the middle of our city, to have Climate Pledge Arena, Lumen Field, the arts, performing arts available to us. We're very, very lucky that way. Also, to have a beautiful lake, a freshwater lake in the middle of our downtown is something very, very special. My personal and professional interests are definitely aligned with the hopes and dreams of the mayor, the city council, and everyone in this room who really believes that our downtown can be a prosperous and healthy and vital place for our community. I think these initiatives have made a clear statement that we can do better, and that a city is a living entity that evolves and changes over time. And that means that the investments that we make need to evolve and change. We're also the hub of startups and biotechnology in the region, and those operations understand that experiments are a very important part of discovering new solutions. So what I like about this program is that we are beginning to heal. And this isn't a fix, it's a healing, and this is a process that needs all of us to support. So I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank the mayor, the council. I want to thank Dan for all the work you did, Andrew for supporting us in Belltown, and all of you. I want to remind you that voting's your superpower, and remember to vote and bring more activity like this to our city next year. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I also want to recognize Marshall Foster here, Director of Seattle Center. Thank you for being Marshall. He has been incredible in what we're trying to do in the Seattle Center region, the waterfront, and in our downtown Seattle. Thank you, Marshall, for your leadership. So our next speakers, plural, will be business owners Liz and Jeanette Macias. Lynn, a little bit about Lynn and Jeanette. It says a little bit, then I have a whole lot to say here, but I'm going to condense it here. They started, they're the owners of Seeking Ferments and Seeking Cultura. So after years of success at local farmers markets, in February of 2021, Jeanette and Liz opened the brick and mortar the brick and mortar for their kombucha business, Seeking Kombucha. I know many of you are aware of that. That is an outstanding drink. I've had some myself. They've also started Seeking Cultura, which is a summer street community event where cultural diversity is highlighted through small businesses, community organizations, food, live music, art, visual art exhibits, and hands-on art activities for children. And quite candidly, they are the kind of investments we want to keep making the city of Seattle. So thank you for your leadership. Liz and Jeanette.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Macias alongside my wife, Liz Macias. We are the owners, like Bruce Mayor mentioned, the owners of Seeking Ferments and Seeking Cultura. The downtown activation plan, which includes waiving fees and street permits for activations, holds tremendous potential for businesses like ours, and we're honored to share our story. Seeking Ferments was born out of a passion for fermentation, fascination with flavors, and a deep commitment to community. We specialize in crafting a variety of different fermented beverages, including kombucha, tepache, switchel, and more. Our products not only promote health, local sourcing, and well-being, but also celebrate the rich tapestry of cultures in this city. At the height of the pandemic, while businesses were shutting down, communities were growing more and more disconnected. We decided it was time for a change from the isolation. As things began to settle down a bit, we decided to invite our neighbors and small business owners to collaborate to bring cultural diversity and community by hosting events throughout different neighborhoods in the city to bring us all back together. This was how Seeking Cultura was born. Seeking Cultura is our grassroots initiative aimed at fostering cultural exchange and uplifting small businesses by creating spaces and opportunity where there are none.
We believe that a thriving community is the backbone of any successful business and economy. We've witnessed firsthand how small businesses like ours can serve as a catalyst for positive change. The proposal seeks to invigorate our downtown area by reducing financial hurdles, such as fees and permits, for businesses looking to activate streets. This means more outdoor events, street markets, and vibrant gatherings that breathe life into our city. It would allow Seeking Cultura, community leaders, and other small businesses to host more frequent events, engage with our community, and on a deeper level, and showcase the cultural diversity of our neighborhoods. We would be able to create unique, immersive experiences that draw residents and visitors alike to our downtown, stimulating economic growth and enhancing our city's reputation. But it's not only just about us, it's about the collective power of small businesses coming together to revitalize our downtown area. This inclusivity strengthens our community, fosters entrepreneurship, and ensures that our city remains a vibrant hub for activities for years to come. The community is not just geographically close to someone or close to a neighborhood. It's time to bring back the connection, culture, and sense of belonging into our city, and everyone plays a crucial role in bringing that together. Alone, we can only do so much, but together we can create a city that's not just active, but alive with culture, creativity, and commerce. Thank you, and we look forward to help bridge community and culture into our city.
Okay, and before you hear from our last speaker, I just want to again introduce 2 or 3 other folks. I want to thank Angie Brady, of course, with the Awesome Waterfront, and Gugun Kayim, our new arts director. I know you're here. So there you go. Stand up, Gugun, so everyone can see you. And Angie, where are you? Oh, there you are. And I want to recognize our new care chief, Amy Smith. Amy, please stand up so they can see you. See, I'm proud of. When you have an A team, you're proud of your A team. So I just want to always recognize. Thanks for being here. Our last speaker is Totem Star Executive Director Daniel Pak. A little bit about Daniel. Singer, songwriter, and producer, Daniel is the proud co-founder and executive director of Totem Star, a nonprofit youth record label that has supported the artistic development and mentorship of nearly 5,000 aspiring young artists in the greater Seattle area over the past 12 years. Daniel has been leading Totem Star's efforts to build a 2,000 square foot home and recording studio here in the historic Seattle landmark King Street Station in partnership with the City of Seattle. We're very excited. Daniel has served as co-chair of the Seattle Music Commission, as a governor for the Pacific Northwest chapter of the Recording Academy, and as a trustee for the Bush School. And in 2022, he was inducted into the Asian Hall of Fame. We're very proud to partner with Daniel Pak. Daniel, please say a few words.
Aloha kakahiaka, everyone. 2 weeks ago, hip-hop artist and Cleveland High School alumnus, Kid Cobb, who discovered Totem Star at the age of 16 and now in his early 20s is on our staff at Totem Star as a program coordinator, gave a heartwarming testimonial to City Council on the same day that they would later vote unanimously on the passage of the 60-year lease agreement, part of this legislative package, with our amazing partner, the Cultural Space Agency. Shout out Matthew and Elisa. The Public Development Authority, whose mission is to help secure long-term, affordable commercial cultural space with community partners. Community partners like Totem Star, Ready Go Soaring, the Rhapsody Project, Whip Smart, and Jackson Street Music Program, who are all now part of Station Space on the second floor, the arts and culture-centered creative youth development hub comprised of all these orgs who, as of today, are now anchor tenants in this historic landmark, King Street Station. With the passage of this new landmark legislation, our aspiring young artists will never have to ask permission again for a safe space to write, rehearse, record, perform, collaborate, and simply create. As the second floor was 60 years previously vacant, generations of youth artists will now be able to gather for the next 60 years in this space, this historic landmark train station nestled in the heart of what the Coast Salish ancestors referred to as Zizalalich, the little crossing over place. And we, all of us in this room, can count on a future for our young people with more crossing over into opportunities in the creative economy, more active participation in the revitalization and growth of this new downtown, and simply more arts and culture and joy. The grand opening of Station Space will be right here at King Street Station, right downstairs on the second floor, on November 11th at 11 a.m., 11/11/11. Come back and celebrate this incredible milestone for arts and culture in Seattle with us and learn more about how this legislation will impact our orgs and our community. Much love and aloha, everybody, and happy bill signing. Seattle's the greatest.
Thank you, Daniel. I think, should we do the bill signing first and then Q&A, or why don't we do, we're going to do the bill signing, and then I'm going to do some Q&A after. That's going to work, okay? So let's sign the legislation and have fun doing that. And before I do that, I also want to recognize Deputy Chief Barden here. Thank you, and Chief Scoggins for being here as well. Thank you for being here. Questions I can't ask.
How to rezone 3rd Avenue.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you. And the speakers, I got a gift for you. There's Janet. There's one for you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, John, there you go. There you go. Okay. Oh yeah, we're gonna do. Okay, if there are, I wanted to make sure we're available for any questions on our exciting pieces of legislation. We're going to take a tour of the space immediately following this press conference. If there are any questions, I want to make sure I'm available to you. I'm going to do my notorious countdown for 3. I'm not going to do that. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It's a little off topic. You sent out a statement the other day. Could you talk about the situation in Israel, what you're doing with the Seattle Police Department, fighting some of the hate crimes?
Yes, thank you for the question. The question, for those that didn't hear, is about the situation in Israel. And so, number one, we are certainly concerned about safety in religious institutions, particularly in the synagogues, when we watch what's happened throughout this country and even in this state. So we will make sure that we have a heightened awareness of any issues. And we do the same thing with Christian churches and mosques and everywhere else when we see anything that rises to the level of hate. Again, we know, if you're following what's happening in Israel, this is a very complex issue. It's an ugly issue right now. It's tearing this world apart, and right now in a world where we're seeing many acts of just violence, inhumane acts. And so we will recognize if there are repercussions here for local people that live here. And so I want to thank our police department for, again, having situational awareness. We'll continue to do that. And hopefully, as people articulate or demonstrate their advocacy for whatever their beliefs are, that they do it in a peaceful way. We recognize the anger and the emotions that are associated with this kind of activity, but we have to keep everyone safe. So we're going to continue to do that, and hopefully lives would not be lost.
Any specific threats or anything of that nature?
Yeah, the question is, are we aware of any specific threats? And quite honestly, I don't generally share that kind of information. Some of that intelligence is best served in the police department, so I will refrain from commenting on any specific threats or any specific intel we have as we keep people safe.
Everything you talked about and some of the other speakers talked about hinges on what you just said, public safety. And yet SPD staffing levels are still at a low. What can be done from the mayor's office or in the budget? Is there any legislation you can sign to help with recruitment to get staffing levels up to where they should be?
Yeah, the question is about recruiting, and because we still have a lower number of police officers that is ideal, what can we do? So right now, through just hard work, through smart investments, through our strategies, we're now receiving between 150 to 200 applications a month. And what we're now doing in the process of fielding those applications is making sure the process by which people apply, that make sure that is a good process, an effective process, but one that we don't lose a lot of people. We also realize, unfortunately, that what's happening in Seattle is like what's happening across the country, that officers are retiring in unprecedented numbers. And so as we continue to recruit, we continue to lose officers. I don't have the current chief here, I have the deputy chief, but we feel very optimistic about the numbers of officers we're getting now in terms of recruiting. We have a good trajectory, but again, it's just been a lot of hard work. I think many of you have seen commercials we've done and advertising we've done, and again, retooling the process. So we feel optimistic. Again, it was a hand that I was dealt, but if you look at the number of officers that actually left in the last year as opposed to this year, we've made incredible progress, and so we feel pretty good about that.
The rate of hires, is there a timetable or a goal for getting back to full staffing on the Seattle Police Department?
Well, our goal is always at the end of the year to have a couple of hundred officers, right? So if anyone wants to speak to this, I mean, this is a little off topic what we're doing here today. If anyone wants to give better numbers, but I will tell you that literally not a week goes by where we're not looking at our projection, working with the police department, working with Deputy Mayor Tim Burgess on these numbers. What I don't like to do is just put a number out there, and if we don't meet it, everyone says, well, you failed. What we can do is every opportunity we have is recruit officers and inspire our officers to be better, as you hear me doing repeatedly. I talk to other mayors about their recruiting challenges as well. And when I tell them we're actually fielding now 150 to 200 a month, they're like, how do you do that? And so I share them through hard work and through being a support of our police department, but also embracing accountability that the officers are willing to embrace. And so we can get you some more information here, back channel on specific numbers, but I'm hesitant to give a specific number because then, of course, if we fall below that number, that's not a good thing. Okay, thank you for those questions. We're going to do a tour. Any other questions? 3, 2, 1, Seattle. Thank you very much for being here.